The opinions expressed in this show are the views of the host and not necessarily that of WTRW, 94.3 The Talker, or the Bold Gold Media Group.
The following presentation is brought to you by the host of the program, who is solely responsible for its content.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Make a Change. I'm your host, Terry Martin, along with my producer, Tom Jenkins.
Good afternoon, Terry. How are you?
I'm good, and it's so good to see you because this week was long.
Oh, it seemed like it, didn't it?
Yes. But today, our show is about you and how to make a change.
It's pretty much how all the shows kind of are, but I like how you're focusing on each different section, on how you can change little things here and there. First, it was, the exercising, how to exercise, how to eat right. What are we talking about today on how to make a change?
Today we're talking about deadly routines, but on the way in today, I was listening to the news, the world news, and I was thinking how all of my shows are all about you. They're about how we can make a change in our own life, because listening to all the world news is pretty hard to take all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the stress, just listening to it, and I mean, there are days where I'll come downstairs in the morning, my wife will have the morning news on, and I just avoid that room altogether because I like to try to start my morning on a positive note.
Right.
Try to, but there are just other times where you're in there making a cup of coffee and you hear something and you got to peek around the corner and see what they're talking about. But no, I get you. I understand.
Well, today I'm talking about deadly routines. In other words, we're talking about our old habits and how to stop letting go of yourself and start living again. We need to also understand that there's no health claims here. There's no medical advice, just choices you may possibly want to consider.
And you do have a choice.
Letting yourself go here means enough. How much more can we handle? We talk to ourselves and we know that these little bad habits we have, we do plan on quitting one day, but those one days keep going by. And these little bad habits are bigger than we might care to admit. And what we thought we could stop whenever we wanted to, we may have found out that we try and sadly realize we can't. The ugly word addicted is now replacing a simple habit gone wrong.
What do you mean by we can't? I mean, we all have a choice, but it just are you saying when it gets to the point that, even though we have the choice, we can't make the right one?
I think that's when you realize it's an addiction.
Okay.
That in your mind, you thought this was just something that didn't have control of you.
Okay.
And then you find out that sadly it does.
Okay.
And by start living again, I mean, we forgot what it is to live in freedom without the burdensome habit or habits we're carrying around. There's a good chance that this habit or habits are holding us back from the kind of person we want to be, and possibly from living the kind of life we want to live. The mind is very powerful, but you are in control. When you start to not want to be responsible for your actions, you might say, I just can't help myself. But two things are wrong here. One, you can control whatever it is. And two, by saying to yourself you can't, your body and actions are just responding to what you have said personally to yourself. Why? Because you possibly haven't truly made up your mind to stop doing whatever it is you're doing. And the sacrifices you might be making, are they worth the cost? If you were to write them down, pros and cons, does what you want to change now look like something from fantasy land? Or is this reality? Are you tormenting yourself? And has this habit taken you as a prisoner? Do you keep making small exceptions? Have you become its slave now? Is this habit or now addiction really so much fun? I mean, weigh it. The habit of addiction can range from food to drugs, sex, pornography, smoking, computer games, to even lying.
I know a few pathological liars, and they lie for absolutely no reason. They just have to do it.
Right, yeah. And they're so believable.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well,
they believe themselves.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
But whatever it could be, it is in the mind. That is controlling you, and it's controlling you for either good or bad. And yes, it is in your mind and in your thoughts. So again, who can fix your problems? Not your spouse or your parents, your counselor, minister. Only you. This is your life, and you need to take charge of it. But I do need to go back here a minute and say, I'm not saying that all those people can't help with changing.
Right.
They can. I'm just saying when it comes to the bottom line, it's you. Mm-hmm. And hiding from the problem and making excuses brings this to my mind. You can never run or hide from you.
So I've known a lot of people say, I just need to move. I just need to get out of here and go somewhere else and my life will be better. And they'll move and they'll make that geographical fix, if you will. I'm doing the air quotes here. And they move and they wonder why they're still miserable. It's like, well, wherever you go, there you are.
Yes.
You are the problem. It's not the external circumstances. It's not the things around you. It's not your job. It's not your spouse. It's not your dog. It's not your kids. It's not your car. If you really think about it, if I could just ask that girl out, if I could just date that girl, and then you ask her out and you date her and then you marry her, and then it's, if I could just divorce that woman, if I can get that job, that'd be great. And then you get the job. It's like, well, if I could just quit this job. There's always one excuse after another, after another, after another. So these external circumstances mean absolutely nothing. It's an actual internal issue that we need to deal with. And what I have found going through my life is that when I deal with the internal issue, all those external issues that I thought were external issues kind of just fall back into place automatically. Again, going back to what I think you and I had said was a week or two ago, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And when you start seeing things through a brand new pair of glasses, they look differently. Even though they're exactly the same, they look different.
Listening to positive motivation, I do a lot. And a while back, I didn't like what I heard because the man said, you always take that finger and stop pointing it at someone else, but start pointing it back at you. And that's pretty hard to digest.
Nobody wants to do that. Yeah.
I don't know what time period it was also that I had heard that there was this man that wasn't getting along with his wife very well. And his advice was treat her like a queen. And she should probably end up treating you like a king. And then when everything looks so wonderful that it looks like she's happy, you're happy, he said, then you just drop her. You just dump her.
Oof.
After all of that. So years later, the person who gave the advice, he knew what he was saying then. They were still together, and he said, what happened? Because he saw them still together. And he said, if someone treats me like a queen, why would I ever let them go? But he knew his strategy.
Right.
And if you just take that mindset to treat that other person like a queen, it's amazing how they, in turn, they do change the way they treat you.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about what if you could steal a large sum of money and got away with it? No one would ever know, but you, of course. And you would have to look at yourself in the mirror every day of your life and carry that thought in your mind forever. You could never escape it. Would it be worth it? I doubt you could even enjoy anything it could buy because you couldn't buy peace of mind. And if you don't have peace of mind, I would get the paper and pen out and start writing down a plan of action for your life. Like you would plan a diet or a vacation. Mm-hmm. Write it out, print it out, paste it everywhere. Have you ever put a picture, on your refrigerator of a trip you were planning on going?
Put the whole brochure right up there.
And you make it happen, and you dream about it. Well, you need to do this for the low times when we so easily forget what promises that we even made to ourselves. And by the way, even if someone else wants you to change in the worst way, you cannot make a promise to someone else that you don't or didn't make to yourself first.
You can't change for somebody else. You have to change for you first.
Exactly. That's why you probably would, if you try any of that, you just feel so let down because you don't want to let that other person down, let alone yourself. Mm-hmm. That's double trouble. So I was listening to Joe Girard, who was in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I spoke of him in the past on the other shows. He had quite a few good suggestions about some of the situations that might bring us down and some that might be causing us to make the decisions that we do. In other words, the decisions that might be keeping us from breaking the not so good habits. Well, one of the biggest downfalls is our very own emotions, and they can just run wild. I know mine can. Mm-hmm. Have to get control of them. They can cause us to do good, or they can be totally destructive. In Joe's case, he used it for his good. He said he tried to be the best he could at everything because his father told him how worthless he was. He hit him, and he verbally abused him. So even when he became a successful home builder, he just wanted his father to say he was proud of him. But he didn't. We need our parents to at least say, at least see our worth. But this was Joe's driving force. Do you know what your driving force is?
Give me another example of what's your driving force?
Oh, I think maybe like Joe. I don't want to get ahead of my story too much, but if you've had a rough life or you've had a lot of rough situations, you want to come above that. So I think that pushes you on.
Okay.
And like I said in his stories, if you heard what he did and what he went through, I mean, this man, he may have even gone bankrupt a couple times, but nothing held him down. Maybe it was because he didn't have a good start in his life. Yes, maybe that really could be. And what do you think of any other driving forces?
More or less the reasons for doing things that give you the passion, if you want to use the word passion, to do things. Whether it be to be successful in business, or and more or less from what I'm getting this from you and from this Joe, is more or less how he was raised, and all the things that he was living as he was growing up formed him into the person not who he wanted to be, but who he didn't want to be.
Oh, right.
So his driving force is actually what he doesn't want to become. And I can see that too, because there's a lot of things that I do not want to end up like my dad in a lot of aspects. And especially with my kids now, I'll say something to my son. I'll be like, oh my God, I sound just like my father. honey, if I ever say that again, smack me, will you?
Oh.
So is that what you're getting at, more or less?
Yes, that's another very good way of looking at it.
Okay.
As a child, my home life was rough, at times, like most of us. And I never realized I could do anything until I was around 30. In school, I was absolutely the least likely to ever succeed. So in 6th grade, I have a little story to tell again.
Yay.
I had 24 Fs on my report card.
24.
Okay. And not because I was stupid, but because I missed so much school.
Okay.
And there was no way I could catch up. So even as a young child, I prayed every day, throughout the day, even on the school bus. And not that I had any kind of religious life at home or anything. I just knew I was in trouble. But I would be constantly, please don't let me flunk. I was so upset. I knew it was impossible to pass. But somewhere, I still had hope. If there are teachers out there listening to this show, I hope you hear this message I'm explaining. You never know who you're talking to in your classrooms. Even parents, for that matter, you have no idea who your children will grow up to be. But I had this teacher who was so mean that year, I just hated to go to her room. Remember those weekly readers we used to get? Are you too young to know that?
No, I remember.
I don't know if they still even do such a thing. Well, anyway, I was sitting in her room, and she was going through it, and I just could not find my page. She was watching me, and I couldn't find, like I say, where I was at. I was flipping through, and she came back and yelled that I wasn't paying attention. Well, wrong. I was paying attention. I was trying desperately because she was so mean. And again, I was trying with all my might to find the spot so she wouldn't scream. She said, Terry, go up front. In front of everyone, she took out her ruler and said, put your hands out, palms up. And she continually hit me on one hand and then the next. And I had to laugh. It was like a ping pong sound, and it stung like crazy. In no way could I or would I cry in front of that class with all those kids. You just had to be tough. I laugh now, but it was humiliating.
Oh, absolutely. Why don't we hold that thought right now? I want to get back to this. I want to hear how this turns out. So we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Make a Change with your host, Terry Martin. I am Tom Jenkins, and you are listening to 94.3 FM The Talker, and we'll be right back. Mederi Clinicals, a unique skincare company, has a complete skincare line for men and women. From anti-aging to glycolic and even a clinical line for sensitive skin, Mederi Clinicals is for you. Their number one product? Forgiveness. It's the secret to younger looking and younger acting skin. You can experience the transformation with fewer wrinkles, firmer skin, and a more youthful, radiant complexion. Treat aging, sun damage, rosacea, and more with Forgiveness. Plus, buy 1 bottle of Forgiveness, get 1 lip enhancing complex for free. Forgiveness. Apply it morning and night and keep forgiving and forgetting all through the day. Make a change with Mederi Clinicals. Balance, restore, look, and feel new. Mederi Clinicals, a complete skincare company for men and women. Call 866-646-3374 or check out MederiClinicals.com. MEDERI Clinicals.com. Welcome back to Make a Change on 94.3 FM The Talker. Your host, Terry Martin, is here. I am Tom Jenkins. And of course, as you're listening to the show, if there's any questions you have for Terry, you can always give her a call at 866-646-3374. And definitely check out her webpage at MederiClinicals.com. That's MEDERI, MederiClinicals.com. All right, Terry, before the break, we were talking about how you got taken to the front of the room and got your hand smacked while you were in class. Humiliating, but you're not going to cry. And let's pick it up right from there.
Okay, after that, I basically became a loudmouth and a show-off. I had to be tough to make up for the pain, so teachers and parents as well. If a child is acting like that, I'm quite sure they do have a good reason. Oh, and by the way, I did pass that year.
With how many Fs?
One of my first miracles, 24 Fs.
You passed. That's awesome.
I have. That's when I probably was absent half of the year too. In between, not from sickness, just. In fact, at that point, I loved skipping every chance I could get.
Okay.
So, but one more school episode. So years went by, and finally in 10th grade in shorthand class, anyone remember what shorthand was?
I know it's shorthand. Yeah, I didn't take that class, but I knew what it was. Yeah.
Seems obsolete now, but it was pretty cool. Well, everyone was flunking in the class, so the teacher said, okay, there'll be a quiz every day from now on. We could just expect. She wasn't going to be easy on us. She was a good teacher, though. For once I tried because there was no way out. I studied and got an A+ on the first quiz.
Nice.
I surprised myself. And of course, she thought I was cheating. And she kept watching me, but after a time, I continued with the A's. She realized I really, truly knew it. And what a confidence builder that was, finally, a success. Better yet, I knew I wasn't dumb, and I was quite smart. No one ever told me that or patted me on the back to let me know I could do anything or be anything. I had to figure it out myself. No one in this world is going to push and pull you along but yourself. You might hear a little good job here and there, but no one can follow you around through life and be your cheering squad. And Joe Girard said, there is no miracle anything. You just need to make a multitude of changes. If you have no motive, you have no enthusiasm. We can't be all talk and no action. Like, oh yeah, I can stop this. Or, I can do that. Then get in the firing lane, he says. If you really can, show it.
I like what you said there, that if you have no motive, you have no enthusiasm. So you always have to ask yourself, why? Why are you doing this? Well, I'm doing this to make a living. Okay, why do you want to make a living? Break it all down. And it's something that I think you said that's very, very, very important in the very beginning of the show. What would happen if you can get away with stealing a large sum of money? How could you look yourself? I mean, this is just for me speaking here. I have to, for me, try my darndest to do the right thing. So I can, and it's all pure selfishness on my end, so I can put my head on my pillow at night and sleep. Because if I do the wrong thing, and I know it was the wrong thing, and I didn't try to fix it and try to stand up and take the responsibility, the internal dilemma is just, and it drives me insane. And that is my motives. I like to try to be as altruistic as I possibly can, but it's practically impossible. There's an episode of Friends where Joey and Phoebe were arguing on that specific topic. It was hysterical. But when you really break something down, I mean, why are you being altruistic? For me, well, then it's not altruistic, So always ask yourself why. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And then what I always like to throw in there is, who are you hurting? And my goal is to not hurt anybody. Yeah, I don't want to hurt anybody in the process.
Right. I shouldn't say no one but yourself. You're right. But you have to live with it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't want to hurt anybody in the process of doing whatever I need to do for whatever my motives, there's the air quotes again, are, to give me the enthusiasm I need to move forward to do what I have to do. I like that. I'm stealing. I'm going to put that up on my computer screen.
Oh, great. That was a bad example, of a bad situation.
Right.
But what Joe Girard was also saying is you need to stay away from negative people. When you're trying to clean up your life and you're trying to change, that birds of a feather, like our grandparents said, the birds of a feather do flock together. Mm-hmm. And if you are hanging around people that are doing a habit you don't want to do, then you need to make a change. Mm-hmm. Find a different flock. He also says, and this made me laugh, if you stay around a trash can too long, you will begin to stink.
Literally and figuratively.
So get away. You have to make the changes in your environment and those people. Sadly to say, some youth may have been your friends for years, but if they want to stay down, a lot of times they want to drag you down because they need you.
Mm-hmm. Misery loves company.
Yes. But be disciplined and make a plan. No wasting time and procrastinating. Can you afford to let something continue to rule you? Wouldn't it be nice to be in the driver's seat? And you are. Just possibly going down the wrong road, but now make some right turns. That will feel great. And it would just one more right turn is a triumph. Do you remember the Jackie Gleason show? No, you are too young for that. Ooh. So that
I know
does
who Jackie
date me.
Gleason was, but I don't remember the Honeymooners. That's the only thing I remember with Jackie Gleason.
Well, one of his famous sayings, and I'm sure everyone will remember how sweet it is. How many people remember him? Let's go back to those simple days. We can, and life is sweet. So you have to focus on a new life plan. That is if you're not happy with things the way they are. I don't think any of us are really totally content with everything the way
I don't know a single
is.
Human being that's 100% serene. I don't know one person. Exactly.
But you look straight at the target that you're trying to get to. Be like a horse that has to wear blinders so he can't see, he can't look to the right or the left, but keep looking straight ahead at the goal, not at what might be all around you.
Or for somebody like me, oh, look, a squirrel. I'll get distracted. It's not that I want to look to the right or to the left, but I'll get easily distracted. And I got to focus right on there.
On the goal.
On that goal, which will give me the enthusiasm as long as I'm checking my motives and doing it for the right reasons.
If people are possibly thinking that setting goals are just for business, they're not. Mm-mm. We do set goals from a very early age. And so they're very important. But
you know what's really awesome about this is that we're talking about these life goals and life changes in April.
Yes.
So many people wait until New Year's Eve and the New Year Day to decide to make these changes. And that's when they decide to do it. Why do we have to wait until New Year's Eve? Why do we have to wait until the end of the year to start anew? You can do it right now. You don't have to wait for a specific day. Unless, of course, your goal is to make that change on that day. But why wait? Mm-hmm. Why let it get all cluttered up? You don't have to wait. And that's why we're talking about this right in the middle of the year.
Well, when you do these things, you'll watch your confidence soar up now instead of hitting all those all-time lows. You're in control, and you are not being controlled by outside forces. Isn't that crazy to think we brought most of our trouble willingly, not realizing, on ourselves?
Oh, for many, many reasons. I mean, if you actually really look at all of the heartbreak and all the depression and all the bad stuff that you think is going on in your life. Oh, yeah, if. But take a look at it. Didn't you actually make a decision based on yourself at one point?
Yeah, absolutely we did.
And I mean, a friend of mine actually said that to me. He said, dude, all your troubles are of your own making. All of them. And I wanted to punch him. But then when I actually sat back and I looked, I'm like, holy crap, you're right. Yep. And that goes right back to what you were saying earlier, is that nobody wants to take a look at themselves. They don't want to take a full self-appraisal. They don't.
No, it is very upsetting. but
it doesn't have to be, as long as you can have a goal to fix it, to change it.
Right.
And which is where you're headed here. Yeah.
So the one big realization here is you have to figure out in your life what you do want. And Dale Carnegie, he had some wonderful advice. He's a motivational speaker. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone's heard of him. So I wrote down some things that I would really like to share with you. He said, the only thing you have control of in this world is your mind. And when you embrace that thought, your life will change. This seems like simple words, but if we could just digest that somehow, that does make a big difference in everything.
You can't control anything except your own mind. I mean,
right.
I get into deep philosophical conversations sometimes with friends, and one person said that to me the one time, and I'm like, no, there's got to be something that I'm in complete control over. And they said, go ahead, I'll give you a week to figure it out. I thought I had it. I thought a remote control for a TV set. And I was all proud of myself, and I saw him the next week, and I sat down and I said, Steve, look at this. Remote control. I've got complete control. It's got the word control in it. He looks at me and goes, really? You can control when the batteries die? And I'm like, oh, son. So I could not think of a single thing that I am in complete control of. And I'll even go as far as sometimes my mind either.
Right. Well, Dale Carnegie tells us how to get a hold of it. And he said, when you don't know where to begin and you need help to figure it out, get a spiral notebook and write it down. Don't ask other people's opinions about you. How do they know what's going on in your mind? This may sound silly, but most of us do not know what we want. So how can someone else answer that question for us? And they probably don't even know what they want.
That's a really good point.
So you must have a clear picture of your goal, of what you do want. And have you ever asked yourself what that would be? Do you even know? And if not, how do you know if you already got it? Or what to look for? Or what to hope for? And maybe this is why so many of us just keep running around in circles. We're trying to get where? Where? You know, how can we figure out how to get there if we don't know where we are going? And his advice is simple. He said, first of all, you get that clear picture of what you want. Or stop right here, right now. He said, in whatever you're trying to accomplish until you do figure it out. And it's funny, when I was thinking of this to talk about on the station, I stopped doing everything. How many times have I read that? And I have written it down before, but I had to just stop again and write it down, because if I was saying that to anyone here, that was a time that I could see what he's saying, because it set my mind thoughts straight. And he said, because you have to know where you're going. The doors you need to open will then appear, because you will know what to look for. And when they are the right ones for you to go through. So to set up your goal, you need to just take time to think about it. And you want to set this goal that will even surpass what you are planning, to surpass the goal, because we really don't think big enough. I'm not sure if they said we only use 10% of our brain, our mind.
This reminds me, have you ever heard of the hobby called geocaching?
No.
It's like a treasure hunt for geeks. You go online and you can get coordinates, latitude and longitude for stuff that's hidden all over the world.
Oh.
And it's actually fun.
Sounds it.
Yeah, it's a hide and go seek, but you go out and you follow the coordinates on your smartphone or a little GPS, and you get to what the area they call ground zero, where you can find it, and then you have to look and try to find this thing. Whatever it may be. It could be the size of your pinky. It could be the size of a truck. I mean, you don't know what actually it is that you're looking for. You have clues. You have hints. You might have an idea, but you won't know what it is until you actually find it. And this reminds me of the complete opposite. There is no you'll know when you find it goal. It's
I always thought that.
And yeah, that's why I'm sitting here thinking this. It's like, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I know it when it'll get here. No. Really?
Right. You don't plan for it.
Maybe for geocaching. But in life, no.
I would like to play that game, though. I would like the name of it again, and I'll have to write it down.
I'll plan a weekend. One of these weekends we get off the air here. We'll go for a ride. I'll show you how to do it. It's a lot of fun. It really is. But you know what? Let's hold that thought. Let's get back to Dale Carnegie right after the break. You are listening to Make a Change with your host, Terry Martin. I am Tom Jenkins. Again, any questions for Terry, you can always give her a call at 866-646-3374, 866-646-3374, or check out MederiClinicals.com. That's MEDERI, MederiClinicals.com. It's Make a Change on 94.3 FM The Talker. We'll be right back. Mederi Clinicals, a unique skincare company, has a complete skincare line for men and women. From anti-aging to glycolic and even a clinical line for sensitive skin, Mederi Clinicals is for you. Their number one product? Forgiveness. It's the secret to younger looking and younger acting skin. You can experience the transformation with fewer wrinkles, firmer skin, and a more youthful, radiant complexion. Treat aging, sun damage, rosacea, and more with Forgiveness. Plus, buy one bottle of Forgiveness, get one lip enhancing complex for free. Forgiveness. Apply it morning and night and keep forgiving and forgetting all through the day. Make a change with Mederi Clinicals. Balance, restore, look, and feel new. Mederi Clinicals, a complete skincare company for men and women. Call 866-646-3374 or check out MederiClinicals.com. MEDERI Clinicals.com. Welcome back to Make a Change on 94.3 FM The Talker. I am Tom Jenkins, along with your host for Make a Change, Terry Martin. And right before the break, we were talking about Dale Carnegie, who was talking, we were talking about changing your mind, how to change your mind. And one of the examples that Terry was given was about Dale Carnegie. And he said, the only thing we can control in this world is our mind. But some of us might not know how to do that. And he's been giving advice now on how to actually, mind control yourself, if you will, but also how to look forward to see and help yourself set goals. The first piece of advice that he gave us was get the clear picture of what you want and then stop right there. Whatever else you're trying to accomplish until you accomplish that one thing that you want. You need to know where you're going. Once you need to know where you're going, once you can see what you need to see, the doors will open. They will appear then open. And that's for the simple fact is that your mind has changed and you can now see what you're looking for instead of just kind of aimlessly wandering around waiting to bump into what you're looking for. And I think Terry has some more advice from Dale on what he was saying on how to do this.
He said, first, of course, set your goal. And he said, then the ways will come on how to get where you want to go. And people will come into your life to guide you. And you know why? Because now you'll recognize it. You'll recognize those opportunities. And possibly they were there all along, but you couldn't see them. Mm-hmm. And he said, consider choosing one of two sealed envelopes, one marked penalties and one marked riches. Penalties means you do not direct your mind, and negative practices will cause all of the penalties that come along with that, such as fear, indecision, ill health, doubt, discouragement, poverty, hatred, and superstition. And how many people go to palm readers and tarot card readings? They think that they have the answers to their life, that they don't have any control in them. Mm-hmm. And then they just watch and see what they think is supposed to happen to them instead of making it happen. I don't watch TV, hardly ever. And I don't know where that came from, but years ago I decided I wasn't going to watch someone else have a life and make their life. I'm going to make my own. What do I just want to sit there and watch someone else's for as the hours and the years roll by? So that's why I once in a while it's good, but not too much. Mm-hmm. I know some people put their TV on first thing in the morning till the last thing at night, and they're not out there living and enjoying and having fun. But anyway, the other envelope that he's talking about is the riches envelope. And this means that you may enjoy and direct your mind to positive ends. It's like your choice of what you want to do with your life. And then it's happy. Takes you in a different direction. And you have better health, peace of mind. And the labors of love you give, you decide, and you give of your own choice what you want to do. And that's also freedom from worry and no guilt. Your thoughts and mine is what controls which envelope you'll take. Now, let's look at how to slide easily into making a change. And an example is, it's time to not let that clothing size go up one more time. because when that happens, you only become more defeated. If the issue is weight, or for that matter, any issue, you can control what's happening. First, change it in your mind.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
And that you need to understand you're the only one that can stop the pounds from coming on. Until you can push the goodies away and say to yourself, I want to live long and strong, will you then be able to conquer it? Ask yourself, is this food I'm about to eat going to help me or hurt me? Now, my daughter, when she was young, maybe in the 8th grade, she said something I'll never forget. We owned a grocery store, and we lived upstairs. So even at night, if you wanted to, you can come down and eat anything that you wanted. I laugh because it's a wonder we weren't eating out of home and store. But she was starting to gain weight. My daughter was starting to gain weight, and she said that one day she went to the shelf to take a candy bar off, which was a habit that I didn't even know she was doing. And she said she decided if she wasn't willing to work that candy bar off, then she wasn't willing to eat it. She wasn't going to eat it. Now, from that day on, I think about that before I decide to eat junk. If I really have a craving for the junk, I'll take a few bites, but immediately my mind says, are you willing to work this off? And for me, that works because the lazy side says, no, no. I'm still too lazy to eat that candy bar. I don't want to work it off. And it still works for her to today and still works for me. But I think it's amazing that at such an early age, she came to this realization. And thank God she got that weight under control. And that simple idea, again, just an idea, thought in the mind, changed her for the better, changed me for the better, and hopefully it will you too.
That is a great word that you just used, in my opinion. Idea. It's an idea. How many brilliant ideas have we had in our lives that have failed miserably? You know, you can change an idea. And here's the cool part. You have this idea, and you don't want to do it anymore? It's just an idea. Get a new one. Get a new idea. You're having trouble getting a new idea? Ask somebody for a new idea. Well, what did you do? How did you do this? I need some more ideas. I'm stumped. I'm stuck. It's not a law. It's not a requirement. It's not a necessity. It's just an idea.
But when you're ready, it will sink in.
Oh yeah, and then you need to be willing to make the willingness is another very powerful word. You know, yes, I'm willing. I'm very willing to do that. Are you going to do it? No. I'm willing to do it. Well, then do it. No. Well, yeah, are you really willing then? So think about that as well with that word willing.
Yeah, if the program is too hard, sometimes people just walk away and can't do it. But a simple little thought like, I have to work it off if I eat it, and you really think about that. But, I just had a good laugh. And, when I was thinking about, this is another free thing. In the very beginning programs, we talked about everything that really doesn't cost you money to lose weight and straighten out your life.
Right.
Well, this is just another free thing that doesn't cost money to change, and there's no gimmicks attached to it, to losing weight. It's just change the mind, change your thoughts. And setting that weight goal for yourself, my feeling is don't think about the pounds. Think about the person that you want to be again, and see your body the way you want to see it. Like that horse with the blinders on. Don't look when the pounds are not coming off as fast as you want them to. Look at the way you want to be, and the way you want to see, and the way you want to feel.
That is really awesome, and I've got an analogy to go along with this. I play for exercise and for fun, and just to get the heck out of my house. I play a sport called disc golf. Have you ever heard of disc golf?
No.
It's like ball golf, except we use frisbees and baskets with chains instead of clubs and balls and holes.
Oh.
And it's mostly in the woods. Well, my big thing is that I'll sit there, and you really throw these frisbees hard. You throw them as hard as you can, and you got to get them in certain areas. And there's always that time, at least 15 times, every time I play, where there are trees right in front of me. And I have to go around a certain tree, and I don't want to hit the tree. And for the first year, I kept saying to myself, okay, Tom, don't hit that tree. Don't hit that tree. Don't hit that tree. Don't. And what did I do 90% of the time? I hit the damn tree.
You hit the tree.
And a friend of mine he's a pro at it, he said to me, he goes, don't think about not hitting the tree. The tree doesn't exist. think about throwing around the tree. Don't say to yourself, don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree. Look up and say, okay, throw between the trees, throw between the trees, throw around the tree, throw over the tree. Don't say, don't hit the tree, because you're telling yourself
Your powerful
to hit
mind.
Yeah, you're telling yourself to hit the tree. And sure enough, I got out, the season finally started back up again. I got out a couple weeks ago on a weekend, and I got into that predicament where there I am between two stinking trees. And I'm like, "Rrr." So I'm thinking, wait, don't think to not hit the tree. All right, and I'm looking between the trees. And it was kind of cool. I kind of psyched myself out to pretend the trees weren't there and just throw right there, Tom. Just throw right there. Just throw right there. And sure enough, that disc came out of my hand with the crack, and it went right in between the two of them. And I turned and I looked at my friend, and he looked at me, and I smiled, and he smiled, and he knew I didn't even have to say thank you. He knew what was going through my mind. And it was an awesome thing. And that's what
Isn't that a fun mindset when you got to that point?
I had to change the way I was thinking about it. Don't hit the tree. No. I love what he said. The tree doesn't exist.
Right.
And that's how I had to look at it in the beginning. The tree does not exist. And that's what this is kind of reminding me of here. Don't think about it when you're not losing weight. Think about how you can lose the weight. Think about what it will be like when you lose the weight. And that's what that just reminded me of.
Yes, because with this new mindset that you can do this, whatever your goal is, whatever you're trying to accomplish. By thinking before eating, even, of the value or worth it has to your healthy life, if that is what your goal is. And again, we will just keep saying, you can't think about the pounds. You have to forget the scale. That should be old thinking now to you. You will know by your weight and the way your clothes start to feel baggy and falling off. So yes, you can look at the scale every once in a while, but if you get in the habit of looking at it way too often, then you're thinking pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Think, what goal is in your mind? Is it getting in that bathing suit again and walking across the beach confidently? Or is it that you can once again walk up the stairs? Use your imagination and dream of what you can be and not what you're seeing at this moment. If you can't see beyond yesterday's mistakes, who and how could anyone change? You need to move, if you're stuck in the past, into the future, or at least into today. Even if it is divorce, for example, it is over. Why still, in your mind, do you let it keep coming back? This prevents you from living a new life. People do not want to hear old war stories. If this is the case, what is your poor mind going through with a constant battle still going on? I mean, really, didn't you had enough of it?
Think about it this way. In the United States of America, if we commit a crime, we get punished for it. Once. We are only allowed to be punished for that crime once. But what do we do to ourselves? We punish ourselves over and over and over.
And the what ifs, what didn't I do? What could I do?
I should have. I hate that word should, by the way. I hate it. It's a premeditated resentment right there. It's an expectation word. And that just, I try very hard not to say that word. But why do we beat ourselves up? Put the bat down.
Yeah. I mean, if this is the case, what is your poor mind going through with a constant battle still going on of wanting a new life and yet stuck in the old one? And this is why you can't move forward. It's indecision. Your mind is too full to fit in any new thoughts. So do you see how you can't change if you don't change? Your mind is so exhausted and you're in limbo. But for how long will you stay that way? And sadly for some people, it is forever. They let their wonderful life just pass them by. Once again, it's the mind. It does what the thoughts tell it to do.
Nothing changes when nothing changes.
Maybe you could pinch yourself. If you go to think something from the past or something that really bothers you, do anything you can start to not drift backwards. You have to catch yourself before you go too far.
I'm a firm believer that you can go backwards, think backwards, if you're doing it to be able to move forwards. But we'll sit there. We love to sit back and just dwell in the past.
Yeah, not the reruns.
Sit in our own crap and just sit, oh, poor me, poor me. No, look back. Be goal-oriented, but also be mistake-focused. See where you made those mistakes so you can fix them, so you don't make them again. You know, I try to live, the word mistake is not a bad word. The word failure is not a bad word. It's a teaching word. It's a learning word. Take the failure and don't do it again, but figure out using the mistakes you made on how to not fail again. And that's the only way I will suggest to move backwards. So you can move forwards. One more break. Let's take one more break. Okay. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up with what you have here. This is Make a Change with your host, Terry Martin. I am Tom Jenkins. 866-646-3374 is the number if you want to get a hold of Terry. Any questions you have, or definitely check out our webpage. It's MederiClinicals.com, MederiClinicals.com. This is Make a Change on 94.3 FM The Talker. We'll be right back. Mederi Clinicals, a unique skincare company, has a complete skincare line for men and women. From anti-aging to glycolic and even a clinical line for sensitive skin, Mederi Clinicals is for you. Their number one product? Forgiveness. It's the secret to younger looking and younger acting skin. You can experience the transformation with fewer wrinkles, firmer skin, and a more youthful, radiant complexion. Treat aging, sun damage, rosacea, and more with Forgiveness. Plus, buy one bottle of Forgiveness, get one lip enhancing complex for free. Forgiveness. Apply it morning and night and keep forgiving and forgetting all through the day. Make a change with Mederi Clinicals. Balance, restore, look, and feel new. Mederi Clinicals, a complete skincare company for men and women. Call 866-646-3374 or check out MederiClinicals.com. MEDERI Clinicals.com. Welcome back to Make a Change on 94.3 FM The Talker. Your host, Terry Martin, is here. I am Tom Jenkins. And before the break in Make a Change, we were talking about the mindsets, more or less, on how you can make a change, and using the example of weight loss or whatever the case may be. And the thing that Terry was talking about was that so many of us sit and dwell in the past instead of focusing on the future. And what's happening is our lives are passing us by very quickly, very rapidly. And next thing you know, it's like, well, where did the time go? We're hopefully now, Terry's going to get into how to not let that happen.
Don't be defeated by the wrong envelope we talked of earlier. Did you choose the envelope marked riches or penalties? This might be a time to bring the pen and paper out again. Maybe you need to take time and figure out why and how some of the habits came about, and then you can possibly see how to think different thoughts to reverse and get rid of them. Example, eating habits cause the overweight or sickness. If food got you in this mess, then food can get you out of this mess. Yes, it is that simple. Wasn't it pretty simple putting the weight on? Or eating
very simple.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or eating, the wrong things that made you sick, but just reverse it. Sounds like an easy strategy, and it is. Go back down that road and follow every bend and turn, and then turn around and take your new journey. This is the same for any habit. Is the drink, cigarette, or drug, or even if someone is a shopaholic for that matter, is it worth it? Is what you're about to do going to benefit you or hurt you? Weigh your choices and options and take control of yourself. When you can truly think about your responsibility in the decision making, you will realize you are in control. And after a period of time, you will start outweighing the bad with the good. Yes, mind control. It does come from your thoughts. Before you realize what's happening, it will then be a way of life. Just like in the old habits that used to feel normal, now this is the new way to feel normal. You are in control of you, and if not, who is?
Nobody.
Many people seem to be afraid to take control of themselves. Many I talk with are afraid to trust switching to what is healthy. They just run with every ache or pain to the doctor, and obviously they want to live or they wouldn't be going to the doctor for his help. In talking with some people, I hear an actual fear they have of losing weight.
Wait, they fear losing weight?
Yes, they do.
Why?
Well, they seem to think if they should get cancer, which is everywhere it seems anymore, that they would last longer because of the weight. The longer it would take to do its destruction if they had more weight, and if they were skinny, that they probably wouldn't and possibly wouldn't last as long. And I know this sounds strange, but it's true. I've heard it from more than one. And some men see strength in weight, too. But they can hardly breathe. But it's the choices. One day my son said, Mom, we live like kings and queens. And I said, what do you mean? He said, walk into a grocery store and look at the selection we have to choose from. We are so fortunate to be able to choose and have all this wonderful food from countries all over the world. Now, how could we ever complain and not be grateful? And look how fortunate we are. I was amazed. I really was amazed at his words because I never even thought of that before. You just take it for granted when you walk into these huge stores. And I was so surprised that he's such a deep thinker. But many people are just not choosing what is best for them, but it sure isn't because it's not available. You know, can you imagine these other countries that have no access to what we take for granted every day? How can we not count our blessings every time we push a shopping cart around? And why wouldn't we pick up the quality food? Are we not quality and worth it? Give yourself a worth talk. Keep your eyes on the answer, not the problem. Talk to yourself in a positive way when you start to fall backwards in whatever you're trying to do, and recognize the minute you're starting to slip back into your old habit. Quick.
And you will know. You will definitely know when you start feeling yourself slipping back.
Yes, you'll be recognizing it. And quick, get back to your new way of thinking, that you are no longer going to function in dysfunction, because that is what it is.
Exactly.
You need to be alert and say to yourself, not this time. No, not this time. You can change your future in anything you want to by changing the choices you make, and it is that simple. Each day, when we do the same old habit, whether it is coffee or spending money on what we shouldn't be, it will end up hurting us. There is no other end for that story. I sold for a health company at one time, and I was at a multi-level marketing vitamin meeting when a man spoke up when we were talking about health habits, and he said he drank 24 cups of coffee a day.
Wow.
I didn't even know if you could live doing that.
Me either.
First of all, I don't know how you could keep your job. I don't know how he worked. But obviously, he did want to get healthier, to be coming to that talk and sitting through it. But you can't take just supplements and think without changing that coffee habit or many other ones that it will be enough.
That, I think, is the biggest problem that we humans have, especially we Americans have, is that we want the instant gratification. Give it to me now. I don't want to have to work that hard for it. No, I just pills, medicine. You know, I'll give you my example. About 2 years ago, I go to my doctor. He says, your cholesterol's up. Your bad cholesterol's up. So I'm going to put you on this medication. I said, no. He goes, well, you realize you're going to have to make a lot of changes. I said, I don't care. I don't want to take the medication.
He told you changes. Yeah.
He said, well, here's what you're going to have to do. And he told me, he goes, get off your butt. And he told me exactly what I had to do. And I did it. And I enjoyed doing it. And I went back to him, and this was priceless. I loved the reaction. It was 8 months following that appointment. I had a follow-up appointment, 8 months. And I'm sitting in there waiting for him, and the door flies open, and the first words out of his mouth, what did you do? And I looked at him, I said, excuse me? I said, I've been sitting here. I did nothing. He goes, no, what did you do? I said, with what? He goes, you have now taken your risk of heart attack and cut it in half. He goes, your numbers are perfect.
You became responsible.
What did you do? I said, I got off my butt. I started eating healthier. The most important thing I did, I quit smoking.
Oh, good.
And it brought, he goes, that's not easy to do, man. I said, that's not easy to do for a lot of people. I said, but I don't want to take medication. I hate it. I don't want to take it. I don't want to be dependent on it. Oh, you keep that up, and we'll see you again in 6 months. I'm like, oh, man, I'm not out of the woods yet. but yeah, you can. It's not instant gratification. It's not. So
everyone out there can hear what it does take. You just were a very good example.
And it's good. I mean, so what? It took that long. So what? And
don't you feel so much better now?
Oh my gosh! I love getting out playing disc golf. I can actually walk and.
It doesn't own you anymore.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I still want a cigarette every now and then, but no, it's all good. It's all good.
Well, how can we keep up those deadly routines? We know they're wrecking our lives, and better yet, why are we? Could it be the same old reruns in your mind, and now history keeps repeating itself? Is it down deep, old, no good thoughts? I mean, let them go. Don't let whatever the thoughts are zap your strength. Can you hold on to everything? Are you using your energies to hang on to the past? And that is keeping you from a new life. And what is your destiny? Nothing just happens like all you went through. after that appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never too late to grow younger. That made you go younger, I'm sure. Gave you a good head start on reversing.
I hope so. But I know that's not going to be an overnight matter either.
No.
And I'm okay with
And nor
that.
will it stop at that. You have to
Right.
keep doing it continually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I'm saying it's never too late to grow younger, what day and time did we decide we were so grown up we couldn't be silly and enjoy the little things we did when we were young? Remember that saying, eat your food so you can grow strong and healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Was there a certain age that didn't hold true anymore, that we just magically came to the age of being grown up?
Well, I'm strong and healthy now, so I can eat crap.
And did we just decide we were grown up and that's it? The silly fun times we laughed at just now made us look immature? Now that we know our mind is our freedom road, let's look into some fun, old, but new concepts for getting back our health.
Old, but new concepts.
Yes. Did you ever hear of grounding?
Usually when I got in trouble, I got grounded.
Yes. Well, it is called the ultimate antioxidant, and it fights premature aging, and it's free. Tom,
It's free.
can you guess what it is?
No.
It's dirt. It's the ground.
Dirt?
Yes, it is.
Grounding. Okay.
Remember running barefoot when we were kids? And now it's time to do that again. Let's go back in time with life, just like we have to do with the food. This is the information from Dr. McCullough. He says, do you notice you feel better when you walk barefoot on the earth? Have you noticed that? Recent research shows why this happens. Your immune system functions optimally when your body has an adequate supply of electrons, which easily and naturally obtained by barefoot contact with the earth. Research has documented that the effects can protect your body from inflammation and many other heart consequences. And for most of our evolutionary history, humans have had contact with the earth. And the reason we no longer have grounding like we did is because of asphalt, wood, rugs, and plastics that have separated us from the contact. When you are in direct contact with the ground, you know, if you're walking, sitting, laying down on the Earth's surface, the Earth's electrons are conducted to your body, bringing it to the same electrical potential as the Earth. And this promotes optimal health. This is completely safe. Of course, we've done it for years.
And free.
You know what? From now on, I'm not going to be in one of the fancy lawn chairs. As soon as the sun comes out, if it ever does, the summer comes back, I intend to be like when we were young. Just put a blanket on the lawn and out you went.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't know. We didn't know then, walking barefoot and all the just resting in the sun. You know, in the olden days, like I say, we just threw a blanket on the ground. And I'm definitely getting grounded this year.
And not in the way that I was thinking earlier, where we have to go to our room and stay there.
Wait a minute, I wouldn't mind that these days.
No, you know what? You're right. Yeah, I don't think I would. Yeah. Please, can I get grounded?
I would love that. But earthing appears to minimize the consequences of exposure to potentially disruptive fields, like, you know, those electromagnetic pollution or dirty electricity. Would that be considered our cell phones and, you know, all of the computers?
And the headphones I have wrapped around my face right now.
That's what I was thinking. No. But recent evidence does support this approach, and it involves multiple studies documenting earthing's improvement in blood viscosity, which is the thicker, sticky,
Right.
heart rate variability, inflammation, sleep, balance, and it helps reduce your stress. Grounding is defined as placing one's bare feet on the ground, whether it be dirt, grass, or sand. And this may be the least expensive and easiest antioxidant to attain. I do know when I try to go barefoot, though, I can't stand it anymore. My feet have become so sensitive. All I do is run around, ouch, ouch, I can't stand it.
Now keep this in mind. These are suggestions. We're not medical professionals here, you know, and this grounding is not, you know, a treatment or a cure. It's just something to help you out. And I think that the big thing also is just that internal happiness that we used to feel as a kid. You know, we can still do that now. And now scientifically, for other reasons as well. And that's the end of the show.
Oh,
we are
that
all
went by
done.
so fast.
We are all done.
We do have to finish this grounding next week.
Okay, we'll talk about grounding next week.
Oh, or whatever we get to. I forgot. We're having a guest.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We'll do what we do every week. We play it by ear.
Okay.
So thank you so much for listening to Make a Change. Terry, again, thank you for being here for
Thank
this.
you. Well, it was a wonderful day.
And if you've got any questions for Terry, give her a shout, 866-646-3374, or check out MedairyClinicals.com. It's Make a Change on 94.3 FM The Talker. Have a great week.